It was the sentence that changed everything. Apologize or leave. My husband said it with complete confidence, surrounded by his parents, siblings, cousins, and relatives who all expected the same ending they had seen countless times before. They thought I would lower my head. They thought I would apologize. Instead, I left, and within a week, neither my son nor I were living in that house anymore. My name is Hannah. I was 34 years old, married for 6 years, and the mother of a wonderful 3-year-old boy named Oliver. From the outside, my marriage looked stable. My husband, Mark, had a steady job. We owned a comfortable home. We paid our bills on time. People often called us the perfect little family. But appearances can hide years of quiet suffering. Mark wasn't cruel. He wasn't abusive in the obvious ways people imagine. He loved Oliver, worked hard, and usually treated me well, until his family entered the picture. The moment they arrived, I stopped being his wife. I became the outsider. His mother criticized everything I did. The meals I cooked. The clothes I wore. The way I cleaned the house. Even the way I spoke to my own son. Every visit came with another lecture disguised as advice. Whenever I finally told Mark how hurt I felt, his answer never changed. That's just how Mom is. She doesn't mean anything by it. Can't you just ignore it? So I did. For 6 long years, I ignored it. Every insult. Every sarcastic comment. Every joke made at my expense. Because I believed keeping peace was part of being a good wife. I didn't realize I was sacrificing my own peace to protect everyone else's. Everything finally exploded during Mark's parents' annual family barbecue. The backyard was packed. Children were running across the lawn. Music played through outdoor speakers. Relatives laughed over burgers and drinks. On the surface, it looked like a happy family gathering. Oliver sat beside me eating sliced strawberries and apples. That's when my mother-in-law walked over. She looked at his plate and frowned. Still not giving him sweets? I smiled politely. Our pediatrician suggested limiting sugar. She rolled her eyes dramatically. Oh please. We raised 4 children without all these modern parenting rules. Several relatives looked over. I could already feel the familiar embarrassment creeping into my chest. Before I could answer, Mark's sister Rachel laughed. Hannah reads one parenting blog and suddenly thinks she knows more than everyone else. The table burst into laughter. Normally, I would have forced a smile and stayed quiet. But that day, something inside me had finally broken. I looked directly at Rachel. I don't think following a doctor's advice is something to make fun of. The laughter stopped immediately. Rachel folded her arms. There you go again. There I go doing what? Being disrespectful. That single word echoed through the backyard. Disrespectful? Because I defended my parenting? Within seconds, everyone joined in. An uncle said I was too sensitive. An aunt claimed I always created drama. My mother-in-law announced that I had never truly become part of the family. Suddenly, I wasn't defending my son's health anymore. I was standing trial. I looked toward Mark. Surely now he'd say something. Anything. Let's calm down. Enough. She's his mother. Instead, he stayed silent. That silence hurt more than every insult combined. Rachel smirked and added one last comment. No wonder family gatherings are always stressful when Hannah comes. That was enough. I stood up. For the first time in 6 years, I spoke honestly. I didn't yell. I didn't insult anyone. I simply explained how exhausting it was to spend every holiday defending myself. How tired I was of pretending their comments didn't hurt. How I refused to let Oliver grow up believing it was normal for people to disrespect his mother. The entire backyard went silent. Then everyone turned toward Mark. He looked embarrassed. Not because of what his family had done. Because I had finally stopped accepting it. His face tightened. Hannah. I calmly met his eyes. No. He pointed toward the driveway. Then apologize right now. Or get out. Nobody moved. Nobody defended me. Every face around that table expected me to surrender like I always had. Instead, I smiled softly, walked inside, packed Oliver's overnight bag, picked up my sleeping son, and drove away without saying another word. That night, after Oliver fell asleep, I sat alone in our kitchen. For hours I replayed the afternoon. Not just that argument. Every argument. Every family dinner. Every holiday. Every birthday. Every time I had swallowed my pride to keep everyone comfortable. Around midnight, I remembered something. 3 years earlier, my college friend Sophia had invited me to join her company in New Zealand. Back then I declined, because I didn't want to leave my marriage. Now, I opened my laptop. Is that job still available? I didn't expect a reply. Sophia answered 45 minutes later. Funny timing. We actually need someone immediately. I stared at the screen. Maybe life was giving me another chance. This time, I wasn't going to ignore it. Over the next month I became an actress. I smiled, cooked dinner, went to work, took Oliver to preschool, answered family texts with short polite replies. Everyone assumed I was calming down. Nobody realized I was quietly building an escape plan. Sophia helped arrange interviews. The company offered me the position. I accepted. I found an apartment. Researched schools, prepared legal paperwork, transferred savings. Every single decision revolved around one question. Will this give Oliver a healthier future? If the answer was yes, I kept going. Meanwhile, Mark behaved exactly as expected. He assumed time would fix everything. He sent casual texts. Ready to apologize? Mom feels bad. Let's move on. His mother called repeatedly. Rachel talked about forgiveness. Relatives preached family unity. Not one person asked how I was doing. They only wanted things to return to normal. But I had discovered something powerful. Silence. When you stop defending yourself, people lose the ability to rewrite your words. 3 weeks later, every detail was complete. Our visas. Our apartment. Oliver's preschool enrollment. The plane tickets. Our new beginning. The evening before our departure, Mark walked in carrying takeout from my favorite restaurant. His old peace offering. He smiled confidently. I think this has gone on long enough. I agree. Relief washed across his face. I knew you'd come around. I looked at him for several seconds. He had absolutely no idea. The following morning he left for work as usual. An hour later, Oliver and I headed to the airport. Before leaving, I placed a letter on the kitchen counter. It wasn't angry. It wasn't cruel. It simply explained the truth. That I refused to raise our son believing his mother deserved disrespect. That love without respect isn't enough. And that I was finally choosing both myself and Oliver. Halfway through airport security, my phone exploded. Calls, texts, voicemails. Over 30 missed calls. Mark had found the letter. I waited until we were on the plane before answering. His voice was shaking. Hannah, you're really leaving? Yes. This is insane. No, I replied quietly. What's insane is expecting someone to apologize forever just because your family refuses to respect them. For the first time in our marriage, Mark had nothing to say. Starting over in New Zealand wasn't easy. There were lonely nights, financial worries, a new job, a new home, a new life. But something beautiful happened. Oliver smiled more. He laughed more. He became calmer. The little boy who once became nervous before every family gathering now looked forward to every weekend. And slowly, I healed too. The distance forced Mark to face the truth. Without his family's constant influence, he finally saw what I had been enduring for years. Months later, he called again. This time there were no excuses. No blame. No, that's just how they are. Only genuine remorse. He apologized not just for one argument, but for every moment he chose silence over standing beside his wife. Eventually, his mother apologized. Rachel apologized too. Not because I demanded it, but because they finally understood that actions have consequences. Today, our relationship is built on something it never had before. Boundaries, respect, accountability. Looking back, the greatest act of revenge wasn't making anyone suffer. It wasn't moving across the world. It wasn't leaving. The greatest revenge was showing everyone, including myself, that my worth was never something they got to vote on. The day my husband said, "Apologize or leave," he believed he was taking away my choices. He never realized. He was handing me the freedom to build a life where neither my son nor I would ever have to beg for respect again.